Optimism is necessary for the creation of an indomitable character, because it is exactly what you need to go through life full of all its bullshit and remain positive. Life is full of good and bad things, and you can find something good or bad in almost everything which exists. It's mainly up to you. If you're a pessimist, then you'll be negative, and therefore have a more negative life. And so if you want to have a more positive life, one of the best things you can do is become an optimist. Now, what is an optimist? Well, to get a quick understanding of what an optimist is, in my opinion, I would highly recommend watching Forrest Gump. Very good movie. But to break it down now, in my opinion, an optimist is someone who has the ability to choose what parts of life they give weight to, what parts of life they give meaning to. What you are positively or negatively affected by affects you in direct proportion to how much of yourself you've given to it, how much of your soul you've given to it. This means, in other words, that the best way to become more optimistic is to practice the ability of choosing what to care about, and to develop that like a skill. To use an example, imagine you get kicked out of your apartment because you couldn't afford the rent. Now, the obvious response to this is anxiety, helplessness, depression, all sorts of emotions and reactions you don't want. But here's the important part. You're only bothered by this because you believe you should be. Now, you might disagree and say, what are you talking about? Why would I want to be bothered if I didn't have to be? If I could just choose not to be bothered, then nothing would ever bother me and I'd be fine. And I understand where you're coming from. I used to think the same. But that isn't the right way to think about it. This is because it's a subconscious belief. Humans are social animals, and so as most humans, if we don't act with conscious intention, we'll react to any circumstance we're presented with, not necessarily in the best or even beneficial way, but the appropriate way, according to how everyone else acts under similar circumstances. As humans, we learn how to act human by behaving the same way other humans do. For example, if in childhood your parents reacted negatively to getting kicked out of the apartment, so would you, because you subconsciously believe you should function that way. Because that's the proper human function you've learned from copying others. And some people, when they hear this, they'll even valiantly defend their lack of emotional control, their inability to help themselves, because they're so attached to what they're familiar with and with the mindset they have. Some people see their mindsets as a part of themselves, their identity, and so when someone or something challenges that mindset, it feels like a direct attack on the person, which makes them feel like they need to defend their mindset as if it's a part of them, even though it's to their own detriment. Once you think about this and realize the amount of control you have over your own perception, you can begin to take charge of what would otherwise upset you. The next time you face something negative, whatever it is, think to yourself whether it's worth being upset about. And if it isn't, ask yourself, who cares? You're alive. You have a brain. You have a body. You can sit down. You can move according to your own will. You can think. You can act. You can see the sky or hear the rain. You can eat food and drink water. You belong to the most powerful and most intelligent species on Earth. There is a huge amount of power in simply asking yourself, who cares? And as you do that, you'll develop a stronger, more positive outlook on life, even like an aggressive optimism, which literally shields you from negativity like a plate of armor, even when life is giving you your hardest battles. Think of happy homeless people. If external circumstances legitimately controlled your internal state so much, it would not be possible for homeless people to be happy. It wouldn't be possible for terminally ill people to be happy. It wouldn't be possible for people in prison to be happy, and yet some are. And they're rare because it requires strength to be optimistic. It's a difficult thing to do, and yet they exist. You might notice that the people who complain the most, who seem to have the worst lives, often don't even have the worst lives. There are people far worse off than them who are still happier than they are. And that, to me, is highly indicative of what seems to be a secret truth, that with practice and intentionality, you can choose what bothers you, and therefore have a much more positive life.